At this time, we'll move on to our next coach, the head coach of the Monmouth Hawks, Kevin Callahan. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Going great. Hawks now 4-1 with a nice win at Robert Morris. If you can open up and talk about that victory, we'll start with questions.
Well, yeah, we had our third consecutive road trip out to Pennsylvania last weekend. Traveled out to Pittsburgh to play, a long-time old NEC opponent in Robert Morris, and I thought our guys really did a nice job out there. We started fast. We jumped out to a lead. We were sitting on about a 35-point lead in the fourth quarter, and we're able to get some young guys in. I really was happy with the way that both our offense, defense, and our special teams units all complemented each other in this victory. We had some big plays on the special teams and, scored 15 points with our place kick unit and had 8 touchbacks on our kickoffs. And our other teams, coverage teams, did very, very well. And then our defense came up with 6 turnovers on the day, created good field position for our offense, and shortened some of the Robert Morris possessions. And then our offense did a great job of capitalizing on it. We were very multiple in our attack. Levon Cheney had a big day running and catching the ball for us. And Brandon Hill, our quarterback, had his best day so far this season. He was 33 of 42 for 390 yards and a couple of touchdowns in there, and spread the ball around to about 9 different receivers. So I think it was a fairly complete game. We're getting better. We're improving each week. I like the direction that we're heading. We've just got to continue to work. We're a young team. We're still making some mistakes, and hopefully we can continue to work at it and get those things cleaned up.
All right, thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll start with questions for Monmouth head coach Kevin Callahan. To ask a question, please press star 1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click raise hand if you join us via the web. Questions for Monmouth head coach Kevin Callahan. And Coach, while we're waiting for those questions to come in, talk about this week's opponent, Columbia.
Well, we faced Columbia this week, an Ivy League opponent, for the second time. Our first time playing them was last year. They're a team that throws the ball pretty well on offense. They have a variety of weapons in their offensive attack. They've got a pretty good running back who really accounts for a significant portion of their offense, both in running the ball and in receiving the ball out of the backfield. They're young on the defensive side. They're a stingy defense, but they've been victimized by some big plays where they've had some breakdowns from some of their younger players. I thought their best game to date was last weekend when they played Princeton, who's one of the better teams in the Ivy League this year, and it was Columbia held a 6-3 lead at the half. And then Princeton capitalized on a couple of second-half turnovers to kind of extend their lead at the 24-6 late in the third quarter, and then they got one late touchdown for the final score. They're a team that's getting better and better each week, and and that's what we have to continue to do. We have to continue to improve and grow as a young team.
Thank you, Coach. Time for questions for you, and the first questions are from Josh Newman of the Asbury Park Press.
Good morning, Josh.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Can you take anything away from the game that you guys played at Columbia last year? I mean, from a defensive standpoint, that was a game where Pat and Darnell, they really had huge games. Can you take away anything from last year's game specifically on defense?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that we can take away from that is the familiarity, with them. Having played them a year ago, it's the same staff that's there, and a number of the same players, although the quarterback that we're going to see this year was out with an injury last year when we played. He's a transfer from Stanford, was a backup to Andrew Luck out there, and started the first game of the season a year ago and then went out with an injury and missed the entire season. So it's going to be a new quarterback running the show. And but other than that, it's just a familiarity with their players and their offensive system. Our guys up front did have a little bit of success against them last year. And, they've got a different group in the offensive line this year, or most of them are different. So we'll see what this year brings. But, there's certainly a familiarity with their schemes on both sides of the ball, and that should aid us as we prepare for this weekend.
You brought up their quarterback. What have you seen out of him on film so far?
Well, he's got a great frame. He's a big, tall guy. He's a long athlete. He's a pocket passer. He can throw the ball extremely well. He's got a very quick release, and he's accurate with his passes. He's not as much of a run threat as maybe some of the other guys that we've played against this year, but he's a guy that can get himself out of trouble with his feet. So although I wouldn't say he's a true dual threat guy, he's a guy that if you're not careful, if you break down in your rush lanes and you're not balanced in the way that you go after him, he can make you pay for it.
And just one more. Mike DeSteel, he was named the Freshman of the Week yesterday for the third time. Through 5 games, he's obviously playing a large role within your defense. Can you kind of compare him to maybe some other freshmen that have played well for you in years, where he is compared to some other freshmen from past seasons?
To be quite honest with you, we haven't had a lot of true freshmen, play in the secondary for us over the years. Especially at the safety position. That's usually a position that takes a couple of years to really understand all the nuances of it within our scheme and how to play certain things and really make good decisions. And Mike just has a knack for making those decisions. And his transition from being a high school player to playing college football was really as quick as I've seen. I've been very impressed with the way he's able to adapt his play to the college game, with the wherewithal he has, a big picture to understand things within our scheme and within what offenses are trying to do. He's got a competitive maturity about him that he really sees the big picture, and that's why he's having some success. And we're very happy about his performance, and I thank the Big South for recognizing what he's done on the field for the third time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Josh. Hey, Coach, next questions for you are from Jeremy Schilling of NewJerseyNewsroom.com. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Sorry about that. Hi. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Josh. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Doing fine.
We're all good.
My question for you actually goes back to something which Josh brought up, because obviously last year the pass rush was very successful versus Columbia. The pass rush last week against Robert Morris was sensational. Did you guys change something during the week? Because that's kind of been the slowest part of your defense to get going so far this year.
I don't think we made any significant changes, Jeremy. Obviously, each game you have another plan going into it of how you're going to approach and attack a specific opponent. Schematically, there were some things that we used, but nothing really new. I mean, there are things that we had used before. I think, what we saw last week was really all 4 of the guys up front playing at a high level, and they created opportunities for each other. And that's why you saw a number of guys get involved, and we had a number of guys that had tackles for losses or sacks.
And then with the rushing game, how pleased were you with Chaney's performance for his first game as the feature back? Because he basically seemed like the same player he's been all year.
Well, he was, and as I've said before, Levon is a great young player, and he's somebody that we have a tremendous amount of confidence in, and felt that he was a guy that could carry the greater portion of the running load. He was a terrific guy to bring in and spell KB Asante, but now in KB's absence, Levon has stepped up, and he got a few more touches on Saturday, and he showed that he could handle that extremely well, and I was happy with the success that he had on the field.
Final thing, when you have such a dominating victory like you had last week, is it tough to have these guys come in on Sunday and get them to focus on fixing what went wrong, or are these guys so hyped up and excited and positive after a victory like that they are focused enough to fix the mistakes?
Well, they're certainly excited to get a win. I mean, any win is important, and our guys are excited when we do win. But this is a very grounded team, Jeremy. They understand the process that the season is, and you've got to be in it for the long haul, and you can't get too emotionally high or low on any one weekend. And they've turned the page on Sunday, and we're looking to get ahead. The fact is, as a football team, we're young. We've got a lot of first-time starters in a number of different positions, and there's a number of things that we need to improve on. Not just can improve on, need to improve on as we move forward. And that's been the focus of our coaching and in our meetings with the guys is showing them the things we did well, but also pointing out the number of things that a good football team needs to do better. So that's kind of where our approach has been.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Coach, I have one more question for you before we let you go. You mentioned Brandon Hill and you thought this was the best game of the season. Obviously on a great streak regarding passing yards and touchdown passes. Just what made you believe, what spoke to you that he had his best game of the year just from what he's been doing all season long?
Well, Mark, I thought that his decision-making was a lot cleaner. He played much faster. His release was better. He seemed he's a very confident player, but he just seemed to kind of be even more confident than normal, and it was very businesslike, very matter of fact, and there was no hesitation in his game at all. I thought he made very good decisions, and when we gave him some audible packages, he handled them extremely well and was able to put our offense into the right play, the proper play at the right times. And, all those things go together, and then he threw the ball well. He was accurate, and our receivers did a good job of making some catches.
All right. Well, Coach, that's all we have for you. Thanks for joining us. Good luck Saturday against Columbia.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right. Monmouth hosts Columbia, 1 o'clock p.m. Saturday on the Big South Network.